Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video is brought to you by my incredibly genius brain. The aim of it is to motivate the living hell out of you so that right after you finish watching this video, you're literally going to start doing push-ups. You're going to start accomplishing your daily tasks from here on out. And if I don't fulfill that promise, then you can call me a dumbass. Although that's not really going to do anything. But anyway, I'll just get into it. It is about 2 a.m., but this is such an important message that I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing I haven't delivered it. You understand? So, this is something that nobody's ever going to tell you in this weird day and age we live in. But this is something I had to figure out on my own. But just because nobody tells you doesn't mean that it doesn't take anything away from it, because this is 100% factual. And once you get this concept into your head, this is going to 10 times your motivation. Essentially, everything that you do right now, all the small skills you learn, all the books you read, all the working out, everything you learn will upgrade your bloodline. And this is very unique to your situation because our family hasn't had this opportunity. That's why you're such a pussy. But just by watching one of my videos, say for example, you watch a video of me talking about breathing, like the breathing techniques, you can teach that to your son. You can teach that to your younger cousins. You can teach that to your daughters. You can teach that to everyone. And just by having this small effect on the trajectory of their life, you're going to upgrade your entire bloodline. And because we are so selfish in the modern world, in this independent, individualistic world, we're too selfish to understand what that really means for us. By upgrading your family, you are upgrading your life. Because you are not an individual, you are part of a network. If you upgrade everyone around you, your life will become better because they will contribute to you and you will contribute to them. And being individualistic will keep you a loser. So here's the thing, right? I was in Uzbekistan maybe a couple of years ago. And I had this 14-year-old cousin. I was pretty close with him. And every time I went back, I used to spar with him. And I would tell him how important it is to learn how to fight. So I would just destroy him every time. Boxing, like wrestling, everything, I just keep destroying him. And I would tell him every time we were walking outside, there'd be like a bunch of gypsies walking around that are like, they're like a little bit crazy sometimes. And I would say, I can knock the hell out of all of them, guaranteed. So don't worry, you can stay by my side, I'll knock all of them out. I truly believed it, because they're gypsies. So, I kept saying this, and one day I went back, and he told me that he started training. And he's actually been training for like maybe 6 months or 1 year now. He's been doing boxing, and he's been getting pretty good. 14 years old. At this point, this guy is now able to beat up like pretty much everyone in his class. Because guess what? Nobody in his class, maybe there's a couple of people, but most people in his class aren't training martial arts. Because their parents say it's dangerous, because their parents say, oh, it's like a stupid man, it's a poor man's sport, it's a stupid man's sport. But Uncle Boris is the smartest human being on the planet. So of course he's going to listen to me instead of anyone else. Right? And the small change will lead him to so much success in the future. And at some point, he will realize when he's like around my age or maybe like 18, he'll be like, why am I so much better than everyone? It's because Uncle Boris, literally Uncle Boris, convinced me to do martial arts before anyone else was doing it, and thus started my self-improvement journey. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't there something about that that's just, fires your blood up, makes you want to become a man? And this applies to women as well. because women obviously contribute maybe a bit more to their kids' development. So this has nothing to do with just like physical attributes, right? If you learn Islam really well and you start applying it to your daily life, right? Say you start praying in a proper way and that makes you fulfilled, and then you start going to mosque after this, and then you just start incorporating Islam into your life. You will be able to carry that on to the next generation, and your kids and that family will be praying 5 times a day together in a prayer room, for example. You can do that. It's actually easy. It's not that hard. Your family didn't do that because their family didn't do that. It's simple as that. And the reason you are more innovative and more Islamic than them is because you have access to social media. That's why we have this advantage. And that's also why you can't be a little pussy and screw it up for your entire future. The fact that you can watch my videos, some guy who doesn't even live anywhere close to you, who studied books, who went on this incredible self-improvement journey out of nothing. And now I'm able to spit all this knowledge I have into these videos, and you can absorb it. And I say it in a way that's easy for you specifically to understand because you are in the same position as me as a Muslim. You have a duty to change your bloodline so that they will be 10 times better than your family and your current situation. And this goes a lot beyond just, like these small things that are listed off. You can get pretty creative with it, because if you're a female or a male, doesn't matter, and you read a bunch of psychology books and you study a bunch of Freud, Carl Jung, like Piaget, and you understand like human development, you can now apply that to make your kids like 10 times smarter, stronger, and better. And then you can teach them psychology, which will make them more grounded in the chaotic world we live in. It's just an infinite cycle. And it's not just a small thing. Just one day, just let's go back to the example I said. Just one day of you talking to someone in your family who's a bit younger can completely change the trajectory of their life for the better. It can make their life go from this, so say it's going straight, right? Just like everyone else, parallel. And then you might have slightly twisted it up like this. And then as the law of nature suggests, there's a small change. Over years, it just keeps going up, slowly but surely. And then at some point, by the end, their friends are still here. And they're like all the way here. Just because of that one small tweak that you did. And you will be responsible, you will be responsible in a good way for this person's achievements and this person's superiority. Not the whole thing obviously comes from Allah, it comes from their own, strive, but you get credit for it. There's nothing wrong, there's nothing controversial about that. I have another interesting story because I was coaching martial arts yesterday at this time. And I was teaching this 14-year-old kid, right? I was teaching him throws and stuff. And then I had a quick conversation with his family. Like I was with his mom, his dad, and I was just talking to them. I was like, yeah, it's really good that you're letting him do this. You guys are legends. Just hyping them up. And right there, I looked around and I realized the impact I was having on this kid's life. And this is not to brag or anything, but the thing with me, because I'm such a G, I'm not even going to try to be humble. I'm so open and so unapologetic with who I am that people can see that, and it's easier for younger people to look up to me. They can look up to anyone, right? Like if someone's older, they just look up to them. So I'm not saying I'm the perfect role model, but because I'm so open, that kid will copy all the good traits I have. And I display a lot of them, like in my daily life. So this kid, at some point, when he's like 18, 19, he will be like a baller. He'll be a G. Stay away from haram because he's not a Muslim, he's Egyptian. So it's like, they have that traditional thing. So imagine that guy, right? At some point when he's like excelled in so many realms, he stays away from girls, he does the right thing, like he doesn't go to clubs, no weed, and then he just thinks about becoming more like me, like a guy who's like more like monk mode, reserved, religious. And he's gonna want to become like that instead of all these other people he sees who go to clubs and stuff. Because I have a bigger impact on his life than them. He wants to be like me because I'm more fulfilled than them. He can see that. And plus I teach him how to fight. Those two things, it leaves like an infinite imprint on that kid's life. Now, if these things were possible, if people were able to, think and get that information across to each other earlier on, the world would be a lot better place. Everybody would be balling out right now. Everybody would be like really like mentally fulfilled, really smart. It'd be a whole different story. But we didn't have access to this information before. We didn't understand child development. But now we do. At least I do. So you're listening to me. So you do now as well. Another thing, right? This is an actionable step. I need you right now to think of some younger people in your family. If you have some, right, in your country. Your little cousin, your nephews, your brothers, sisters, anyone who's younger than you. Try to change the trajectory of their lives. And that's going to pay off to you for the rest of your life. This is literally the single best investment you can make in your life. Forget about, ETFs, forget about stocks, forget about Bitcoin. This is the single best investment you can do. Wallahi, in every possible way. And then they will love you for that for the rest of their life. They will look up to you. You'll be in their core memory. It's insane. It's actually insane. I have a lot of hope for specifically the people that are watching me right now, because you're on some random Spotify podcast and you're listening to some random guy talk for this long. You know some things that other people don't. I promise you, because this knowledge is not conventional. It doesn't come from their parents. It doesn't come from nothing. But you are getting it into your head, and you have the patience to do it. So now you are able to instill it to other people. It's your duty. And I'm pretty excited for you. And you should be getting fired up about this as well. Even if you just know how to do push-ups in a way that's going to activate more muscles. Go and teach your younger sibling that. And that's going to be like a hugely impactful thing to their life. They might just get into fitness for the rest of their life because of that one hack. And think about the consequences of that. Think about how amazing they'll become after that. It just doesn't stop, bro. The potential is infinite. You're building an empire. Do you understand? You're not just an individual in this universe. You are part of a huge network. There's a couple things you can pass down. You can pass down knowledge of Islam, of psychology, of literature, history. You can pass down philosophy. You can pass down even physical investments. You can buy an apartment, for example, like I did. And you can just never sell it. So that apartment alone will be paying for your entire future. Imagine how many millions of dollars you will pay at some point. Like they'll be like, where does this apartment come from? Oh, our great-great-grandfather Abdul, he bought it when he was 19 years old. And then that's helped every single person in his generation since then. Do you imagine that? Imagine the beauty of that. Another thing you can instill, you can pass down, is your family honor. And this is something that nobody ever talks about anymore because they think it's toxic. Andrew Tate brought this back. And I'm not here to condone all his actions, but he did bring this back. He started talking about family honor, Tate family. I have to live up to my father's expectations. So last name actually carries power. And it's like that in all of the traditional countries. They say, for me, my last name's Kakharov. They say the Kakharovs. They don't talk about me as an individual. There's Kakharovs are good at this. Kakharovs right now, we consider Kakharovs are good at university or something. That's what people say about us. in Uzbekistan. Like in Australia, in the West, it's not really a thing anymore, but it actually is a thing. People just don't talk about it. So if you can have like a clan of people who follow this last name, you can instill like certain rules and expectations. It's completely normal. It's always used to be like this. And it's actually going to make people happier with better mental health, and it'll make them more successful. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. I'll tell you how I passed this down. And this is something that really like fires up my blood, wallahi. I competed in like pretty high level of competitions, and when in certain sports like judo and sambo and like wrestling, I think when you get to a certain level, they'll give you like a gi, like a uniform that you wear to competitions with your last name on the back and your country. So I think you might have seen this in some of my videos. There's like a gi I have, like a like a wrestling uniform, and on the back it says Kakharov, Australia, because I represented Australia, right? And that's incredible. That's incredible, because to get to that level, you need like a huge amount of dedication, and you need some insane fighting skills. So just by me having that trophy, when I have my kids and like I'm like fully established, right, I will hang it up on a wall. So all my kids and my family can look and say, we are Kakharovs. We don't, like, every time they look at it subconsciously, it'll be like, oh, Kakharovs wrestle. Like, my father was a wrestler. He destroyed people in like sparring matches. I mean, like in competitions, in sparring mats. And they will look at that every single time they do. It's going to be like, whoa, like I should be doing something, I should be this person. It'll be like a subconscious thing for them to live up to it in a non-toxic way. You don't need to have that though. You can just keep talking about your last name and just tell them, we like whatever your last name is, we Kakharovs, we wrestle. We are good wrestlers. And then you'll be surprised. People will start seeing you guys like that as well. Like people around you will be like, oh, that family, the Kakharovs, they're good wrestlers. It's just something that'll be in their heads. And then every single time a member of your family, whether female or male, is walking down the street, people will be like, oh, the way that he or she is from the Kakharovs. They know wrestling. They know they're really smart or something. It's not like that in the West. Like don't think I'm crazy, but it is like that in Muslim countries. So if you ever choose to move back, this is what it's going to be like. But even without that, this is still a really cool thing to instill into your bloodline. So it's really interesting because you pass down both the positives and negatives, right? And the thing is, your family most likely passed down a bunch of negatives on you because, again, they didn't have social media and they didn't know they were negatives. They were just copying from their parents. So the insecurities, the pussiness, the cowardice you have is from their grandparents. But you don't need to pass it down to the next generation. You have to remove it. It's your duty. All the things that they've taught you that didn't serve you in this life, they made your life worse, made you a coward. You need to make sure you eradicate it. Because if you don't get rid of it completely in your mind, it's going to 100% go down to the next generation. So if they scared you by beating you up, you need to make sure you don't do that. It doesn't mean you become extremely soft, because that's what most people do. They start doing the exact opposite, which is still really bad. Sometimes it's even worse. You have to find a middle ground. Okay, your father beat you. Maybe he beat you when he was angry or when he came back from work and just took out the stress on you. You can still beat your kids. You just need to beat them strategically, not out of anger. Because that's why you're a pussy. You're scared of people getting angry at you because your body thinks you're going to get beat up. So you don't hit your kids when you're angry, right? You hit them when they do something wrong, in the same way as they would get hit or arrested or whatever in real life. Because you're supposed to teach them how life works. If you teach them that every single time some guy is angry, you might get beat up, he's going to be a little pussy forever. That's just one example, but every single cowardly mindset you have, you need to eradicate it right here, right now. You have to work every single day of your life to get rid of it. because it takes a long time. A lot of people think they got rid of it. They're like, oh, it's gone now. I'm not scared anymore. Blah, blah. But I promise, it's probably still there. Even all my insecurities are still there. Like, I buried the hell out of them. But at some point, they still want to come up, and I need to keep consciously bringing it down. And that's what I do every single day. I spend a bunch of time journaling, like writing stuff down and just thinking, praying to get rid of these thoughts. And it works. That's why I'm such a G. Do you understand? That's why I'm here. That's why no Muslim you see is talking like this on a podcast, on YouTube, on Instagram. I'm different than them. I'm built different. Because I chose my own way. I wasn't influenced by anyone. I was alone my whole life. When I wanted to start martial arts, every single person around me, my bosses, I was like family friends with you. My bosses, my brother, my family, everyone said, don't start martial arts. You're an idiot. You're a moron if you start martial arts. It's a waste of time, waste of money. You will get injured and you're too old for it. That's what they kept saying. Every day. Why? Because nobody in my family or anyone in my proximity has done it ever. I didn't know anyone in my entire bloodline who's done martial arts before. Even if they did, they would have gone for like 2 weeks and be like, oh yeah, it's boring or whatever. Because they don't get incentivized from the bloodline. I went against the grain. I completely randomly, I decided to do it. Nobody gave me this idea. Most people don't do anything unless there's some sort of a source that comes into their brain from their friends. Like, it needs to be a social norm around you for you to do something. Everything you do right now, you do because people around you sort of expect you to do it. Same with uni, same with being a Muslim, everything comes from this. And the good thing is, you get to keep the good sides. The bad thing is, you can never improve yourself. You can never improve your bloodline as long as you live like that. I watched Habib and Islam and stuff. Back then, it was just Habib. I watched his fights, and I was like, I gotta do this. And then I knew I was a pussy. Like, I was just scared of everything. I was like, how do I solve this? I'll do anything to solve it. And then I started martial arts, even though everyone told me not to do it. And now guess what? My kids will do martial arts as well. 100%. I will teach them. I'll teach them so as soon as they turn 4 or 5 years old, they will know how to fight before anyone else their age. And this is what fires me up every day. Every morning I wake up, I think about this. I go out and I start training. I start doing jump ropes. I start doing shadow boxing. Because I know that every single small thing I do now will have like 10 times the effect on my bloodline, on my kids, and their kids. One of my cousins went to university to do business. And then he was sort of consulting me. He said, do you think I should do business? Do you think I should do something else? And when he asked me, I said, don't do business, do social media marketing. Said, social media marketing? Nobody in my family ever talks about that. What even is that? So, social media marketing, do it. I don't care. You have to do it. And they don't, like, people around him don't understand that this is like the most profitable way to make money. If you're gonna go to uni, learn social media marketing. It's the future. It changes everything. If I hadn't told him to do that, and by the way, he did choose social media marketing. If he had chosen business, he wouldn't accomplish anything. Because business universities don't teach you anything at all. It's BS. Do you understand that? I'm a social media marketer. That's why you're watching me right now. Even though there's probably like not that many views. But anyway, that's not the point. So it's just, who you are determines who your kids and their bloodline will be. And this should make you really, really motivated. But it's the same thing with the negatives, as I said, because not only do you have to eradicate the negatives, you also need to detect the new negatives that have arisen in your life. I don't know why I'm saying like the negatives that have arisen in your life. You need to detect them and you need to get rid of them before you pass them down to the next generation. You need to make sure the next generation is more Islamic. Make sure your woman follows your standards of Islam, of self-improvement. Make your entire family pray and train every single day. That's just the bare minimum. And just by doing that, they will be 10 times better than you and your family are. This is not to insult them. This is just facts. So if you're getting pumped up from this, which if you have any level of testosterone, you should be. You're gonna go out now. You're gonna watch a bunch of self-improvement content, probably my videos, because I'm a G and I'm the best self-improvement YouTuber on the planet. You listen to my podcast, you watch my videos. You pick up the small tips that I teach you about breathing, about persuasion, about riz, about women, psychology. You learn those things. You absorb them into your brain. You write them down somewhere, on your phone, wherever. And you're gonna make sure you apply it to your life somehow. And you're gonna make sure you teach the younger generation around you that this is literally the best task you can do in your life right now. Forget about uni, forget about starting a business. Literally, this alone is the best thing you can do for this dunya and the next. Because remember, even after you die, you can still keep getting the sawabs from this. If you teach like your younger nephew to pray 5 times a day, and after you die, he keeps doing that. Think about the beauty of that. Think about how many sawabs you will get when you're up there. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Literally the best investment you can make right now is to do what I just told you to do. And if you don't do it, this channel is not for you. You're just crazy. You're just hopeless. I'm sorry. And this applies to men and women. There's been a lot of women who watch me for some reason. So even if you're a woman, it's even more important for you because your kids are most likely going to follow by your lead. So nobody gets out of this. If you don't do this at all, if you forget about this whole concept tomorrow, just think that there's some guy in Australia, some brown dude with my features, the exact same guy as me, who thinks that you're a loser. That should give you enough motivation to go do it right now. Go and give me a comment to get some engagement on these podcasts. Share this post around because you're going to get the dawah. You're going to get a lot of credit for it if you go and share this around and people start implementing it. Inshallah, this channel is growing and soon enough, we're going to become the biggest podcast on the planet.